What's up with it, y'all? It's JD again, back with another Travel Stenics video. I'm back in Honolulu after an epic 2-week trip to Asia. Start off in Seoul, South Korea for 3 nights, and I dipped down to Ho Chi Minh City for another 6 nights. After Vietnam, I went back to Seoul for 3 more days before I came back home out here to Honolulu. Before we get started, please like, comment, subscribe for more travel and fitness content. So getting started off, I'm going to review Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. This was my first time to Ho Chi Minh City, so it was a little bit of trial and error for me. I was given a few tips from one of my coworkers that I actually met up with while I was down there in Vietnam. But I got down there a little bit before he did, and I forgot a few of the things he told me. So I actually ended up spending a little bit more money on a few things than I should have when I first got in town, like taxis, ride share, those sort of things. First off, I stayed in District 1, which is probably the most convenient area for a first-timer. The area has a lot of bars, clubs, restaurants, cafes, parks, street food, shopping, and also a lot of markets. It's also super convenient to get to the airport. It probably takes about 15 to 20 minutes to get to and from the airport. So there's a few things in Ho Chi Minh City that stood out to me that I really liked. And the first thing I'll probably say that I really liked was the energy of the city. It's fast paced. And by that, I mean people are moving around, getting to where they need to go, on the grind all day. But, you see motorbikes everywhere. They're driving on the wrong side of the street, on sidewalks, running red lights, busting U-turns. And at first glance, it looks super dangerous and chaotic, but after you get a chance to sit and watch the traffic from afar, you can kind of see that there's a method to the madness. And one thing I would say you need to learn right away when you get to Vietnam is how to cross the street. I know it sounds like a small task, but even when there's a crosswalk, or even when there's a green light, or even if there's a walk signal, the motorbikes are still going to be coming at you. So don't try to cross the street without looking both ways, number one, and definitely be looking into oncoming traffic. Also, you don't want to run across the street. You want to walk slowly and just peep oncoming traffic, because if you walk slowly, the motorbikes know how to avoid you. And although everybody seemed like they're on the hustle like 24/7, I did notice that people do take the time to enjoy the smaller things in life. And one thing that I really loved about Ho Chi Minh City is that they have these huge, well-manicured parks all throughout the middle of a huge city. The parks had all types of people in them. There's art students, there's older people chilling in the park, kids practicing kickboxing or sports. You got people in the park that are just doing their evening workout, people going for a run, taking an evening stroll. There's well-manicured gardens in the park, water fountains, shrines, benches, and just a lot of greenery in the middle of a huge metropolitan city. I was able to get some dope calisthenics workouts when I was out there. I'll probably make another video specifically for my calisthenics workouts, but the park that was across the street from my hotel was super dope, and it was only about 2 or 3 minutes walk. And there was actually also about 2 or 3 other parks that was within about 5 to 10 minutes walking distance from my hotel. Also, later in the evening, the parks are a place where they have a lot of events. It seems like they have a concert set up in some of the parks. People are usually chilling, drinking, hanging out with loved ones, kids playing. There's still people hustling late in the night trying to sell you stuff. But pretty much the park is a great place to be social. The next thing that stood out to me about Ho Chi Minh City was how many cafes there are. And this kind of goes back to just enjoying the smaller things in life. At all hours of the day, people are meeting in cafes on their lunch breaks, hanging out with friends, reading, talking, and just enjoying the great coffee that Vietnam has to offer. And honestly, Vietnam has some of the best coffee I've ever had in my life. I was drinking about 3, maybe even 4 cups a day. And I'm normally a person who really just has 1 cup of coffee in the morning, and that's it. They have a bunch of mom and pops coffee shops scattered all across the city, but they also have some major chains that you're familiar with too, like Starbucks, Coffee Bean, and then they have their own major chain, which is a competitor to those stores, called Phuc Long. Phuc Long is actually a lot cheaper than Starbucks and Coffee Bean, and the coffee is actually a lot better, in my opinion. The environment in Phuc Long is basically kind of like a local version of Starbucks. It's got a nice little setup, and you see the same stuff that you see in a typical chain coffee shop. Another thing that I really liked about Ho Chi Minh City is the markets and the bargaining culture. So my rule of thumb is that if it's not at a major store and something doesn't have a price tag on it, then you got to bargain for it. Never pay the first price they give you. It's up to you to decide how much you actually want to bargain, but always start off with a super low price compared to what they try to sell it to you for. One trick that works like a charm for me is that when the vendor gets to a price where they're kind of in a stalemate with you, just walk away from the vendor and they'll usually come chasing you down with a better price. The famous market in District 1 is called Ben Tan. It's a big market with all types of stuff. You got clothing, you got fabric, you got accessories, you got coffee, shoes, bags. You can buy food that they cook right there, and there's also a lot of other goods. I even had a tailor-made suit at a local tailor close by, and actually right outside of Ben Tan Market, there's actually a lot of tailor shops. So if you want to get a custom suit made, that's the spot to get it done at. Massages and manicures and pedicures are a big thing in Ho Chi Minh City. I highly recommend that you at least get one while you visit. The massage spots I went to were all about $10, and I also got a pedicure at one spot for $3. Super cheap, and you can get a hot stone massage for about 90 minutes. If you're somebody like me who works out a lot and works a lot, then a massage is something that's definitely well worth it, and I'll actually say that you actually have to get that done when you get out to Ho Chi Minh City. Last but definitely not least on the things that I loved about Ho Chi Minh City is the cost of living. I'll actually do a separate video with a rundown on how much everything costs, but visiting Vietnam is super cheap. It's all as expensive as you really want to make your trip. You can spend anywhere from like $10 a day to $150 a day, depending on what type of activities you want to get into and how extravagant you want to make your trip. Another sidebar that I noticed is that in Ho Chi Minh City, people are not really all out on their cell phones like we tend to be in America or in a lot of Western countries or even a lot of other Asian countries. I just noticed that for the most part, 2019, everybody's on their smartphone no matter where you're at. You could be on the train, on the bus, at work, even if you're at a bar or whatever, people are usually like glued to their phones. But I noticed in Ho Chi Minh City, maybe it's because they have a lot of phone theft. That could be one thing, or it could just be that people are a little bit more social. But people aren't like slaves to their phone like they are in other places that I've traveled to. And although my experience in Ho Chi Minh City was almost completely positive, I do want to get into a few things to watch out for while being there. First off, I want to start this part of the video by saying that Vietnam is a developing country. So with that, you kind of got to understand that everybody that lives out there doesn't have all the luxuries that we might have and that we might view as basic necessities. Not saying that people in Vietnam are dirt poor, but for most of us watching this video and for most of us that have the privilege to travel the world, we come from a privileged background as far as material things and necessities are concerned. With that being said, people are always on their hustle and looking to make some money when they can out there. So you might run into a lot of scams in Ho Chi Minh City and even theft. My experience in Ho Chi Minh City was pretty trial and error. Off the jump, I got scammed out of $20. And, that's pretty much what happens when you come off of an airplane looking like a lick. They know I'm not from there. And $20 is actually a lot of money in Vietnam. I paid $20 to get from the airport to the hotel, which is really like a $5 ride. Actually, from what I hear, you could actually get the ride for even cheaper than that. The cabbie didn't turn on the meter. That was a red flag. Plus, I had already agreed to pay 500,000 dong before I even got in the cab, which is about $20. And that was a learning experience for me. On the way back, my hotel actually got me a cab ride, and it was $5 flat rate. The best way to actually get from the airport to the hotel and the hotel back is to hit up the ride-sharing app, Grab. And that's pretty much their version of Uber and Lyft. I stay away from taxis if possible and just mess with the Grab app. It's cheap, and they'll pick you up on a motorbike or a car, and you just pay them in cash when they arrive. Another thing you need to look out for is people trying to sell you stuff on the streets, and then there's these guys that walk around and they're trying to shine your shoes, and they can be super aggressive. You just got to be stern with them and let them know that you do not want to get your shoes shined, because they will keep bothering you until you tell them no in a serious manner, because they won't stop, trust me. One major thing that you need to be wary about is to watch out for your belongings. So cell phones, wallets, purses, cameras, etc. I didn't personally experience any theft. I kept being warned by people to be extremely careful with my cell phone. Probably because I had my phone out all the time and I was taking a lot of videos. But from what I hear, people do a lot of snatch and runs, or they even hop off their motorbikes and grab your phone and then go. You know, I've heard of some pretty elaborate schemes where people will grab your phone, jump on somebody else's motorbike that was already waiting for them, and then ride off. So when it comes to these items, just keep your head on the swivel. Your best bet is to keep your wallet, phone, and valuables all to yourself. Ho Chi Minh City is a dope city, and there's really no need to be flashy. So no need to draw attention to yourself with, flashy shit, flashing money, all that type of stuff. I would just say stay on your P's and Q's and you should be fine. So close to the end of my trip, we went out to Walking Street, which is a street where there are a ton of bars, small clubs, restaurants, and all that type of stuff. Walking Street's filled with tourists drinking, hustlers, and local bar girls trying to make some money any way possible. This area can be fun to walk around, but definitely not a spot that you really want to be going on a regular. Once was actually enough for me, and I didn't even really stay that long. The bar girls are going to try to scam you. That's off the top. They're going to invite you into the bar to drink, and then when you sit down to have a drink, they're going to ask if they can drink with you. If you say yes, it's a wrap, because they're going to start ordering a bunch of drinks, and they're going to be ordering drinks, and they're going to say that they're hard alcohol, but it's really just a soft drink, and they're going to be drinking them fast as hell and then run up your tab. So when I was out there, I was with a group of 2 or 3 dudes, and one of the dudes had invited some of the bar girls to come over and drink with us. Literally in 10 minutes, all the girls have had 3 drinks, and that just ran our tab up. And granted, in Vietnam at the bar, their drinks are super cheap. They're like $3 a pop, probably $2 for beer. That's super cheap, but you don't want to get scammed out of money for no reason. And from what I can see, Walking Street is filled with young women, and most of them is probably for sale. That's probably what makes the street so popular. That's probably why a lot of the tourists and a lot of the Westerners are coming out there. Again, I'll reiterate, when shopping, bargain at the markets. Don't buy the first thing you find, and negotiate. I usually pay 1/8 of whatever they say the initial price is, and then just bargain from there. Other than all of these things, I ate big, tried the local beer, local street food, hit up a karaoke spot, explored, and had a great time. I'd definitely be going back to Vietnam, and there's so much of the country that I want to see that I didn't get a chance to check out while I was out there. And one thing I actually wanted to check out that I didn't really get a chance to see because I left a day early was the local hip-hop clubs. I saw a couple online, and it looked like they had a couple decent spots. But that's something I got to check out when I get back. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I would probably give Ho Chi Minh City an 8.5, which is really high, being that I really didn't get to do everything that I wanted to do. It could be higher than that, based on my second trip. Next time I go to Vietnam, I probably want to take a trip to a few different cities and see what everything else has to offer. I know some people don't like Ho Chi Minh City, but, I really had a good time there. I'd say the most glaring weakness of Vietnam is their transportation system. There's really no metro train in the city, so that makes it hard to get around. But anyways, y'all, thanks for viewing the video. I'll be dropping more content on Vietnam soon. Stay tuned. Like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.
Get it, baby, I'm just trying to hit it on the friend list. So tell me if you is or if you isn't with it. Fast cars, fly clothes, G5s flying over seashore. Get it, baby, I'm just trying to hit it on the friend list. So tell me if you is or if you isn't with it.
Listen, if you with it, get in. What you sipping? Hit it out of the
park, that's if you pitching. First you look at me wrong, like I don't know, he didn't. Then you turn into robbing on me, you start to give in. Get it, by the beach watching tennis. Crack another bottle of Perry on. Louis V carry-ons when you visit. Sending all them signals in your sidekick sentence. Then I reply like be there in a minute. Just put me in currency on your friend list. The we come from a village. Trump tire, sour diesel, send it. That's real shit. From smelling this, you wanna see how the cigar tastes.